Hello, hello, hello. Dooley Godot here with Elite Weather. We're going to talk about the next 7 days of our weather coming up here for the United States. And we're going to look at a really big storm that's going to take place and move into the central part of the nation, as well as some snow that's in the forecast and all of the severe weather that's going to be going on as we head through. We're about midway through the month of March right now, and that severe weather is really just starting to get going in a lot of places, especially in the Texas and Oklahoma. It's where it traditionally sets up this time of the year. It's kind of like the first hoorah of the severe weather season, and as the spring goes on, that will slowly migrate toward the east and to the north as we move later into the season. So now that we are about a couple days away from the official start of spring, meteorological spring started back on March 1st, but the spring that everyone accepts as spring is going to be just a couple days away. So now let's jump into the wonderful world of weather, as Julie here is going to take you on that ride. And when we get started, we are going to look at the hazards and things that's going on across the nation that the National Weather Service has posted. And as we can see, the first thing, as you can see, that's kind of really out here screaming at you is this red flag warning through the entire Central Plains, the high plains of Colorado, as well as down into Nebraska and into Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. Most of New Mexico is under that red flag warning, and this is indicative of dry weather and high winds, and that dry weather in combination with high winds and relatively warmer temperatures is going to contribute to elevated risk of forest fires, wildfires, and basically just fire madness going on. So you're just going to have to be careful when you're out there, if you're at any campsites or any backyard bonfires or anything like that. You may want to be careful with dry brush in the area or dry kindlings or anything like that that can easily catch fire. So with these conditions in place, now I will have to add that this is going to eventually change because of what's going on out here on the West Coast right now. Now we do see high wind warnings through parts of southern Nevada, as well as the mountains and deserts of Southern California, and that is because of high pressure that's in the Utah and northern Nevada. That area of high pressure, that continental blocking high that usually sits there most of the year, is pumping in those northeast winds that's going to blow below the canyons and passes in Southern California and fill those Santa Ana winds. So it's a lot of high winds out there. You can see a lot of those wind gusts gusting to at least 50 miles per hour below some of those canyons and passes, like El Cajon for one. That's like the most notorious place for those Santa Ana winds to blow in Southern California. So that is a look at pretty much what's going on the west side, and we do have some winter storm watches and warnings up here in the mountains in the high plains here of Wyoming and parts of Montana, as well as north central Idaho, and that's because of some snow and rain and stuff in the mountains out here, and that can be kind of heavy. It's very scattered, but some of those showers are quite heavy. We have a quiet conditions out on the East Coast, but there is kind of a storm out here that's bringing a lot of rain to New England and stuff right now. We do see a winter weather advisory in the far northern tip of Maine, so it is bringing a little bit of snow that way. But for the most part, all of this is rain. I don't see any severe weather watches or warnings on this map for once, but there is some thunderstorms in this part of the country, and some pretty strong thunderstorms are out there in parts of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, central New York has been seeing some of those stronger thunderstorms today, as well as down into the Virginia, West Virginia, parts of Ohio are seeing some of those thunderstorms. They haven't been severe, but some of them have been kind of strong, so you might want to be aware of that and keep your eyes out for any, because remember, any thunderstorm can be dangerous and can produce hail, can produce gusty winds, and cause power outages and flooding issues. So let's go into our next item up for bid, and this is going to be the Climate Prediction Center map for the next 6 to 10 days, this is our temperatures. So what we're seeing is that the temperature for the next 6 to 10 days going to be above average here and for the western United States as that high pressure is in control. But you will see that start to move out more toward the west, and then the East Coast going to be below normal over the next 6 to 10 days. Now this is after the next 6 days, because the next 5 days inward will be warmer than average across this area. And now we're going to see this take effect when that big storm moves out into the plains about the 23rd or 4th, or the 24th and 25th. We'll start to see that big storm take place. So you'll see this area start to cool off as a result of that big storm, that trough that's going to move in. That's currently a ridge here. This ridge is going to move here, and then the trough is going to move here. And as that moves on, you'll see this. That's when this occurs. Once this trough has moved, this ridge has moved here, and the trough that's on the other side of this ridge out over the Pacific moves here, which is going to be here in about 6 days. That's kind of how that works. So now let's look at the temperature anomaly for this is going to be 8 to 14 days away. So we see that ridge that's going to try to make its way toward the east. We're going to see this trough lift up, that colder air lift up and out, because this is going to take its place and be here as that big storm system makes its way to the east. So my stupid camera just does not like the green screen. It just does not like to focus. My older camera doesn't focus issues like this, but the new fancy camera, this is an expensive camera and it acts stupid. But anyway, I apologize about the blurriness. If I stand still for a moment, there it is. Depends on where I stand, is what it does. So, but anyway, let's move on here. So we see that big ridge. Now this is this is no longer that ridge. This is the precipitation, and this is that dryness. This is below average precipitation for the next 6 to 10 days across most of the nation, because it's gonna be pretty dry for the next few days. There's the camera tripping again. So I don't like what's going on here. So the next 6 to 10 days, we're going to see that dry conditions as there's not any storms transiting the country right now, and everything is kind of under a big ridge of high pressure that's keeping everybody warm and dry for the next few days, because there is a big storm coming. And don't let this fool you, because that big storm is a coming, and it's going to move this on out of there. So let's go on out. So now we start to see things change a little bit as we start to see some moisture. Pacific Northwest, high plains, the upper Midwest, that storm is starting to take shape, and it's going to move out into the plains, and it's going to start to make places go above average in rainfall. But we're seeing that dry weather continue across the southeast over the next 14 days. So here's our drought monitor. Here's what we're looking at for drought conditions. Especially if you look across the center part of the nation here, the southern plains, Texas, New Mexico, you see that extreme drought conditions exist there because it's been very dry. We haven't seen a lot in the way of the severe. Now, here's the thing. We've seen a lot of severe weather. We've seen some severe weather. The thing about thunderstorms is that thunderstorm rain is very localized. It's not really widespread. It's not like what a warm front would provide. A large area, expanded area of gentle rainfall. It's not going to be soaking. These kinds of rains with thunderstorms come down very heavy, can be brief, can cause localized flooding and issues. But the rainfall is not beneficial for an overall general location because it's very localized and can be very isolated and spotty. So with that in effect, we're going to see these drought conditions continue for this part of the nation, as well as some of the high plains of Montana, parts of the Pacific Northwest, which is known to be quite wet. But if you look at the Seattle area, you can see the Puget Sound, the far western part of Washington. It's in normal conditions because they've been seeing that rainfall. But these areas Us here have not been getting that precipitation this winter, so we're seeing those extreme drought conditions. And we typically see drought conditions in California. We have the Central Valley, the San Joaquin Valley, Bakersfield, Fresno, and Stockton, Modesto. You're going to see those drought conditions probably continue into the summer. Even though you're all seeing rainfall today, you're going to need a lot more rain than what you've been seeing to make up for those drought conditions. You got to have a long way to go, because this is some of the worst drought conditions they've seen in the last 1,500 years across Southern California. So let's move on, and we're going to jump now into the GFS. And the GFS is going to take us over the next 7 days. This is where we're going to be looking at for your Sunday, and this is the zero Z run of the GFS, the zero Z hour for the GFS, and we are seeing that precipitation across the Northeast as well as Southern Canada. There's a little bit of snow across. This is the snow that's affecting Maine right now, and this is why we're seeing that winter weather advisory, as you can pick up anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of snow today from that weather system. But that's going to eventually make its way on off toward the Northeast. But we're going to see a little bit of rainfall on the ocean, the coastal sections of Maine, as well as parts of Massachusetts. Might pick up a few raindrops off of that as that just moved right offshore. But for the most part, the country for your Sunday is going to be pretty dry, except for that little bit of snow across the mountains of the northern Rockies in Idaho and western Montana. Far eastern Washington and Oregon might see a little bit of snowflakes fall. Some heavier spots of snow in there too. We're going to see a little bit of snow in the higher elevations, about 8,000 feet of the Sierra Nevadas. We're going to see a little bit of snow, as well as some valley rain in the San Joaquin, as well as parts of Southern California, like the northern sections of Los Angeles, the San Fernando Valley, if you're in, say, Agoura Hills, Woodland Hills, Thousand Oaks, so the Ventura Valleys and the mountains areas of Ventura County, Santa Clarita, the northern sections of Los Angeles, the north. If you're north of the 210, you can see those showers, some showers in Southern California. But that's not going to be much. It's not going to be any drought-busting rain by any stretch of the imagination. Here's the next run. So we're going to keep that storm system moving on off the northeast there. It's going to spread. A little bit of heavier rainfall might work its way into parts of Maine after we get done with the snow. That snow is going to lift north and get replaced by some rainfall, and it could be maybe some thunderstorms today or into that on your Sunday in parts of Maine. So let's kind of move on out. Now we're starting to see this Pacific system make its way out into the plains. It's going to move out into the plains, and it's going to start to create some problems, but it's going to bring some of that precipitation out of the mountains and down into the high plains of Colorado, parts of Nebraska, as well as Kansas can start to see that. So let's progress this guy on out into the plains. Let's see where things start to get interesting here. We're starting to see some snow here into Colorado. So you can see in those Rockies, Glenwood Springs can pick up some snow. Durango, Colorado's high plateaus out there. Man, it's so absolutely gorgeous out there. I love that place. Telling you, I would like to do some research out there. Severe weather season could be quite interesting in Colorado as well. They have interesting tornadoes out there, although they can be hard to catch sometimes. But so now we're starting to see this big storm take place across of the southern plains. You're going to see that severe weather take place down in Oklahoma. And this is for the 21st, so this is going to be for Monday. We're going to start to see those thunderstorms in Oklahoma City, Dallas, Amarillo, Lubbock, Texas. So you're going to start to see Odessa, Mesa, Odessa, Texas. And there's another city that's right next to Odessa, and the name of it escapes me. I can't remember. So, but anyway, we're gonna see some snow back here towards Albuquerque and Santa Fe in New Mexico. Denver might see a little bit of snow as well as the cold air on the backside of the storm starts to filter in, and we get that warm air. So going with that warm front lifting up, gonna have a cold front and a dry line in this area. A dry line often sets up in New Mexico, far west Texas, parts of eastern Colorado, west Kansas, and the panhandle of Oklahoma. We're gonna see that dry line set up. We're gonna set up that classic severe weather angle right here. So we're gonna see those severe thunderstorms for your Monday. So please be ready for that. We're going to see some tornadoes. This is going to be a pretty big situation going on right here. Going to be pretty exciting for the storm chasers out there that's going to work to keep everybody safe. So let's move our storm on forward. Here we are getting into Tuesday now, the 0 hour, the 0Z hour now. We're going to see those thunderstorms again. We're going to still see that severe weather moving a little bit further to the east. East Texas here, going to be moving into Louisiana, Arkansas, and Missouri. You guys are going to have to be ready for those severe storms as they make their way through. That snow is going to continue on the backside of this area of low pressure. So here we go. We got that classic comet shape taking on warm front, cold front. Get some occlusion going on right here. A deformation zone on this side of the low pressure center. Gonna bring the heavy snow into the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. I never thought I'd be saying we'll still see snow in Texas again. With this storm being so close as it is, it's only a few days away. So this is very likely. This is not the whims of the GFS, because that's when you go further out. But this is well within our margin of error right here. So this is going to produce a little bit of heavy snow in this region right in here. So some winter storm warnings will be posted for this area right in here. And we're going to see that heavy rain. This is going to move some precipitation and rain probably up into Minnesota. Could we see severe weather into the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes? With this storm, it's entirely possible. Let's move it on out into the future. We see that deformation band taking place right in here. We want to see the heavy snow take place across Kansas, Nebraska. We're going to see that in the South Dakota to North Dakota, Minnesota, and as well as southern Canada right here. We're going to see that dark blues, that dark blue. That indicates that heavy snow. So we can get several inches of snow out of this storm. We're going to see that rain also across the Twin Cities. Iowa, Des Moines, you're going to see the heavy rain into Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Chicago, heavy rain. We're going to see some thunderstorms right in here. Thunderstorms in East Texas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, well as parts of southern Indiana, Ohio, and it's going to make its way into West Virginia and Ohio here. You're going to see that severe weather moving in. This is going to be a round of severe weather. So we're going to see those tornadoes. We're going to see large hail, damaging wind gusts over 60 miles per hour, heavy rain with flooding. Remember, severe weather, the precipitation is really isolated and localized. So it's not going to happen over large swaths, but we could see a large severe weather outbreak for this region. So please be weather aware. Pay attention to this forecast. Don't thumb your nose on these weather guys. We're trying to keep you alive here. We're trying to protect your property, so you know what to do. Get your house, get your car in the garage so that it don't get beat up by hail, because there's gonna be some balls falling out with these storms. I guarantee you on that. So be weather aware. So now here we are. It's 22nd. We're on your Tuesday now. As we can see, as we keep this moving out, it's gonna keep those heavy. You see this large storm, it's going to have a large area that it's going to impact here. And we see that heavy snow in that deformation zone. Again, that rain to the Twin Cities, parts of Wisconsin here, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, going to pick up some of that rainfall. But you see these darker yellows here, these yellows and darker greens. This is that heavier rain. This is that severe weather. Those showers and thunderstorms. Again, that severe weather is going to move all the way into the upper Midwest, southern Great Lakes area, so southern Michigan, we have Indiana, we have Ohio, so Indianapolis, South Bend, Mishawaka, we have all those folks that's going to see that severe weather. Chicago also is going to be in the bullseye. Well, just to the east of Chicago as we get into your Wednesday. We're talking about the 23rd here. So there we are, that severe weather once again, and you see a little bit of rain here across parts of Missouri and Iowa as well as Minnesota. Gonna start to see that snow now across the Twin Cities. So the 23rd, we're gonna keep an eye on this here. Keep it close. I'm gonna monitor this storm very, very closely as we can start to see. We've been in a break from the snow. We've had temperatures in the 50s last week. It was a gorgeous week last week, but we'll get through the first few days of this week. But here we go. Here's that but coming in for the forecast for your Wednesday coming into next week. Let's keep this guy moving. Now we can see that severe weather coming into Michigan. We're going to see it come into Wisconsin here. Good Lord, look at this right here. Definitely Chicago, Quad Cities here, Des Moines could have another severe weather outbreak across Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Could be seeing that more severe weather down here, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Louisiana. So New Orleans here, Biloxi, Mississippi. You're going to get into the far western edge of the panhandle of Florida. So if you in, say, Tallahassee, Apalachicola, we're going to start to see that severe weather move into those regions. So here's our storm, that snow again. It's going to affect, here's the Twin Cities now. I'm going to get in on some of that snow. How much you going to get across the Twin Cities? Northern Wisconsin is too early to tell, but I'm willing to bet my money on at least 6 inches at this point. So I'm expecting about 6 to 10 inches of snow across northern Wisconsin, about 4 to 6 inches across the Twin Cities. It would be my best guess at this time. But this storm is a few days away. We'll have to pinpoint how much snow that we could see across the Twin Cities. So here is our storm making its way across the Northeast and New England and the Steel Country in Pennsylvania. We're going to see cold country as well, picking up that rainfall. Could see some severe weather moving to the Northeast. So that's that storm as it moves off into the northeastern sections of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick there in Canada, and off into the North Atlantic. There's that guy. And then we're going to enter another period of tranquil weather as we make our way into the 26th, and we're going to see that weather pattern mellow out after this big storm. But this big storm is going to take a few days to make its way across the country. So it's going to be quite a mess for a lot of folks in the center part of the nation as it makes its way through. So now let's take a look at what our temperature anomaly is and what we're seeing. We're seeing that warm air here is where that big storm, that's that warm air rising up ahead of that big storm. On the backside, you're going to see that cold air. See that anomaly? That's the warm, above average, cold, below average. As that storm makes its way through, our storm is right about here. Here's where our center of our low pressure is as it makes its way. You can spot where the storm is just by the temperature anomaly. All right, as that makes its way through. So you see how it drops below normal after that storm passes to the east and northeast. So here we are with our dew points. Our dew points are well tells you where that storm is going to be. Here's our 60s and 70 degree dew points right here. This is where when our clouds, where air hits the saturation. See how that dew point rises? Because that storm is right here and it's pulling that warm, moist air up out of the Gulf of Mexico. It's pulling it in. See that storm right there? There it is. Boom. As it moves off to the east, we're looking at the 24th. This is the 24th, 25th, 26th as that storm makes its way off to the east. So you saw that dew point. This is our 500 millibar height, or relative velocity. This is the spin in the atmosphere. As you can see, this right here is going to be that big storm that's going to move into the plains, into the mid-Atlantic states, and the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes. You're going to see this big storm as this winds up. Look at this guy. It's huge. This is a huge storm. Oh my God, look at that guy. And it's a closed flow. You see a closed flow, you see the isobars completely. This is at the upper levels of the atmosphere. So that means that this storm is vertically stacked. Because if you look at the surface pressure and this, you see it vertically stacked. Those isobars at different layers of the atmosphere, different levels, different heights of the atmosphere. The higher the number, that's the lower levels of the atmosphere, because the air pressure is higher. So those isobars are going to be tighter. But you see that big guy right there as it moves on up. Here it comes. Here's that big guy right here. Woo! That is an impressive storm. I really like this map here. I like what I'm seeing with this guy. So then you see this here? There's going to be that severe weather. It's going to bring a lot of severe weather, a lot of twisting in the atmosphere. That means that those tornadoes are definitely going to be a problem out there when we deal with this guy when it makes its way through the area by the 26th. So it's going to be very important that you pay attention to those weather forecasts. If you're in the mid-Atlantic states, the New England, the Great Lakes, the upper Midwest, the deep south, anywhere out here this next coming week is going to be on and popping. So here we are looking at the Cape. This is the Cape. This is our thunderstorm juice. And this is what we see on the 20th for your Sunday. And as we move into the 21st, here we go. See, that storm is starting to move out into the plains. As it moves out into the plains, it's going to lift up that Cape. This is our thunderstorm juice right here. This is as you see that Cape, see how that Cape really rises as we move into the 24th. That's going to be the areas that's going to see that severe weather. So where you see the elevated Cape, and this is Cape up to at least 1,000 joules. So anywhere you see that Cape, it's your areas of potential for that severe weather. Now this time of the year, you don't need to have a lot of Cape to get tornadoes. Just because you have a low Cape and you see tornadoes, so please be aware of that. But that just indicates that you have a higher chances of seeing storms that at least produce hail. You have a better chance of producing hailers when you see that Cape, so like that. But this time of the year, now as you get toward the summer, then you'll see a lot higher Cape, and then you really see those thunderstorm chances, those tornado chances go up with higher Cape. But this time of the year, because you're not relying so much on your daytime heating to produce those thunderstorms, where this time of the year the atmosphere is a lot more volatile because of big storm systems. Now you're relying on cold fronts and warm fronts and dry lines and all that interaction in the atmosphere, that cold air, because it was just winter. So you're trying to filter out some of that cold air, and it's working in those storm systems. So that's the fuel for the rotation in the atmosphere, the potential for tornadoes or any of that kind of crap. So you really are just relying on that, which is a lot of juice out there, so you don't really need so much Cape for all of that action. Here's our photographs, but this looks crazy, but this is very important. Probably one of the most important things in forecasting severe weather, because what this is telling us, this is your wind patterns from the surface to the upper levels of the atmosphere. When the Weather Service releases the weather balloons and it records what's going on, as those weather balloons go up in the atmosphere, they record the wind patterns from the different layers of the atmosphere, and this is your wind shear. So if you see it hooked like this, that's that rotation in the atmosphere. So if you see it's kind of a straight line, that means you're just kind of vertically lifting. But if it's hooking around like this, like you see it when this Cape comes up, and you see that these hooks get a little bit tighter, especially as you get around the areas of pressure changes like a storm system. You see how these right here hook around really tight because we have an area of low pressure. See, if you see that guy right there, how it's hooked around real good, that's those photographs. That's what tell us that the atmosphere is twisting. That's that shearing we're looking for when you see it in those photographs. All right, so let's move on now. Here we have that mixed layer Cape here. Again, we're going to look at that Cape, and then you see that strong Cape. As you see it here in the tropics, along the Gulf Stream, you hear that tropical moisture, that Bermuda high out here over the Atlantic, that backside really in conjunction with storm systems. So you have that counterclockwise flow around the high pressure with the clockwise flow around low pressure. So it really pulls up that Cape along the Atlantic seaboard. So you're going to see a lot of Cape typically in that region. And because of that, all right, let's go back. Here we go, gentlemen. Okay, now we're taking a look at our telekinetics here, and we're looking at the North Atlantic Oscillation forecast. And you see how it's in the gutter here between the 21st and the 1st of April. It's kind of going to be in the gutter because of storm systems on the East Coast. So when you see a dip in the NAO like this, and when you see it in a negative phase, that's East Coast bad weather. That's bad weather for the East Coast. When it's positive, that's good weather. This was last week. You see, we saw those 50s. And today, this is today. This is where we're going to be next week. This is Wednesday on. And you see that it's in the dumps because the weather is going to be trash next week after Wednesday. It's going to be trash, complete trash. This is the PMA. This tells you what we're going to see on the West Coast. See, the West Coast is going to be kind of iffy. Nothing too bad, nothing too good. It's going to be kind of neutral. This is more neutral. This is going to be your transiting storms. You're gonna get storm systems. They're gonna be kind of weak when they come on shore. They can move through real quick. You'll have days where it's gonna be a nice day, but then the next day it might rain. It's gonna be a very transient pattern with this. So this is a neutral pattern. So not a whole lot going on there. But these storms become interesting when they move onshore and they round the trough and get out into the plains. Then they get stupid on us. So, alright, so that was a look at the weather for the next week or so. Maybe some things from a little bit beyond, but for the most part, that's what we're going to see for the next 7 days across America. I'm going to be posting my forecast for the upper Midwest and the Twin Cities on Sunday, so that'll be for your Monday. We're going to cover that snow across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes area. But thanks for watching. I'll post another one of these for the next week. On your next Saturday, we'll post a 7-day forecast or outlook for what's going on as we look at the big picture. Thanks for watching. Join me for the next video. Have a great day and a good week ahead.